All right. So moving forward, I think we should set a due date on those papers, and let's shoot for the. I think the 11th should be all right. I was going to say the 10th, which would be a week from tomorrow, but we'll go ahead and go for a week from Wednesday. So your papers will be due on December 11. You have an evaluation on Thursday. Okay, so keep that in mind. And the reason that we hand those papers to you early is so that you actually have time that you can get started on those rather than just waiting until we get to the insects and then, oh my gosh, I probably better get started. And maybe some of you have done that right now. Just thought, oh, I have not started yet. Okay, that's maybe not the best of habits, but we do what we can to get you ready for the future. Okay. Left side or right side? Okay. So, right side. Name a class that we've talked about so far. Any class this semester. Nope, that's too big. That's one high. That's one above a class. You could even look at what we're doing this week. Crustaceans is a class of what you had said earlier. Okay. Name any phylum. Okay. Mollusks is certainly a category. Name a class of mollusks. Okay, that's an animal, but what's the class? Well, it's best if you can. Well, yeah, that's all of them. Yes. Okay, bivalves, that's true. So then, what is since you said right, what's a bivalve then? The animal. We did it over in the lab too. Not oysters, but yeah, clams are bivalves. Okay? So, name another class that we've taught. Any class. Doesn't have to be. That's a phylum. We said class. Okay? Gastropods is right. What is a gastropod? Slugs and snails. That's right. Okay? So, let's see here. Besides arthropods, name, there's only one phylum left. It's got a silent C. In other words, you spell it with a C, but it's silent. Yeah, cnidarians. Did you whisper that? No. Then how come we're laughing? Okay. So then, name a class of cnidarians. So you could, okay.
It's a jellyfish. It's an animal. It's an animal. What's its name? Yeah, what's its scientific name?
I don't even know how to pronounce it. Anthrazold.
Hey, Dallin, your voice is changed.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's a class. Okay. So then, name any other class that we talked about.
Anthozoa.
Yeah, anthozoans. That's certainly a class. Okay. And then up against the wall, what is an anthozoan? It has C in it, not the letter C, but C-S-E-A. Well, you can do that, or we could just say, think of Finding Nemo. What do they live in? Well, I know, that's what we're asking. He has a hard time pronouncing it. Right, well, you did it just fine. Yeah, sea anemone. Okay, so, again, the reason we do that is we don't want you to... What's going to happen is Christmas break will get here, which sooner before you know, which is great, which is fine. We don't want you to forget that content, although you probably will once January rolls around, and that's just fine, okay? But we still want you to be accountable and successful, taking, even though it's not this content, but taking it, utilizing it in a different type of manner. The reason that we say that is I always like to refer to different types of tools, for instance, because you may classify different types of tools, your wrenches, your hammers, maybe even drills. There's even different types of nails, okay? So even though you won't be using this type of vocabulary or naming things, but you will when you get out into society when you are on your own. So yes, I understand. You probably don't need to know that the author says subphylum. I like to call it a class. We want you to be able to put things into categories so that when you are on your own in society, you have those types of tools, so to speak, besides the hammers and the wrenches, these types of tools to be able to use that to your advantage. Okay.
I guess not. Just natural reaction.
So, for the most part, this is brand new to these animals, because when we look at the cnidarians, and who preceded those were the poriferans, and then also the okay, I set you up for failure. I failed you. I did not mean to do that. So this is not the first time we see this. Where have we seen gills before? But not jellyfish.
Clams.
Clams, okay, and not gastropods. It's the other class, the most complex one. That's the phylum. Okay, the cephalopods. Okay, so once we started talking about arthropods, then this has gone away, except for the class Merostromata. So who might a Merostromaton be? It's the first class we talked about in this phylum, or this chapter. Nope. Okay, so we got to look at this now. So that must mean they're aquatic animals. So who might that be? He said they're shaped like this in front. Because the horseshoe crab, which is a Merostromaton. That's right. So since they're aquatic, they have gills. That's the only other time we talked about this phylum, because who did we talk about after the horseshoe crabs?
The regular crabs.
The what?
We talked about crabs.
Horseshoe crabs?
Did I miss something?
Yes. Okay.
Oh, was that the first day?
Okay. Horseshoe crabs.
Wait, hold on.
Okay. Then, so my point is, we started talking about, oh darn, I went too far. Okay, we started talking about aquatic arthropods. Then we moved on to land, which means what type of arthropods would that be? What does it mean to live on land? Starts with a T. Terrestrial. Okay, so then why is this a vague term? Yes, it certainly includes these. But why might arachnids be a vague term?
Because of they're spiders.
The scorpions belong in this class,
Ticks.
and so do the ticks. So you got to go down to the order name, which of course is Arachne, Scorpionida, and then Acari. We just like to keep reviewing those, so eventually this will set in. Now, what does that mean? If we remember this, does this mean you forget something else? Maybe. I don't know. But again, it's just hopefully a way for you to learn to categorize things for when you get out on your own. Then, of course, we moved on to the scorpions. Okay? Okay? And then briefly the ticks. Now we're back to aquatic animals. Because otherwise, how do terrestrial animals breathe? Some, yes. Like spiders, they will have, we call them book lungs. But for the most part, especially the insects, they don't breathe by gills. They don't breathe by lungs. They have a type of passive respiration. Okay, so nonetheless, these have 3 body segments, okay? And of course, here's one. The middle one would be your abdomen. Excuse me. Your middle one would be your thorax, then your abdomen would come after that. Okay? So then that's what we're referring to here. Now, not all animals have these little tiny, you could call them paddles. They're swimmerettes, of course. When you think swimmerettes or paddles, why might these animals have them?
To move.
For a type of locomotion. That's right. Okay, so how many other arthropods that we've talked about have 3 body segments?
What's the one? Wait, what are we talking about right now?
Okay, so how many other arthropods that we've talked about have 3 body segments? None. 0. Okay? Because when we put these 2 together, what does that mean from prior knowledge? Spiders have it. Scorpions have it.
Wait.
Say that again? Well, that's true too. But when you put these 2 terms together, it belongs on, especially spiders. That's where we're introduced to that. When you put the 2 body segments together, it's something thorax. Yeah, it would be a cephalothorax. Okay? So you could say, well, or ask, why do certain animals have 3 body segments, others have 2? That's just how the man upstairs designed them, or that's just what nature selected for these, I think it would be fair to say make more room for appendages to attach to, or more room for abdominal organs for possibly digestion, because one of the things that happens is when you look at these types of animals, which maybe we haven't spent enough time on them yet, but with the arachnids, what type of predation do those do? So you have to know who the arachnids are, which is ticks and mites, spiders, and scorpions. What type of feeders are they? In other words, what do spiders and scorpions do? Do they eat plants? No. Yeah, they're carnivorous. But not all in that class are carnivorous, because who's the odd one out that is not a carnivore?
Ticks.
Yeah, ticks and mites. They are not carnivores. Rather, what type of feeding do they do? We've only mentioned it once, I think.
I can't picture
I think a parasite.
Yeah, they're parasitic. They're a parasite. Okay?
whoever said that was a good kitten.
So when you look at the spiders and scorpions, they're carnivorous, but why may they not have to chew their prey item? Because their venom does a twofold function. One, it's going to immobilize their prey, and then what else does that venom do? Yeah, because venoms are proteins. Proteins are also enzymes. That's one of the most, I would say, a very important aspect for people to know is that proteins are enzymes. Okay? Very important concept to know. Okay. There's no reason or rhyme that this is blue. Okay? So
That's just when we're gonna stop.
that's what you might think, but no. So also, looking forward, we want to get to the insects this week so that on Friday then we'll be doing activity in the lab where we're looking at a type of insect.
Are we gonna dissect tarantulas?
No, that's not an insect.
Oh, I was close though, right?
No.
Wrong, correct.
We appreciate the enthusiasm, though.
Are we gonna dissect mosquitoes?
Yes.
What are we gonna?
No.
Yeah, I know.
I think we said it. We only said it once.
Grasshoppers.
Yes.
Did
So-
you catch them? Yourself?
Yeah, sure.
You caught them all by yourself?
This whole summer.
Mm-hmm.
Everything. You're just thinking of the zoology class.
I thought I saw you running around chasing grasshoppers one day.
You know, for sometimes things are not advertised as what they seem. So when you say you thought I was chasing grasshoppers, in a narrow scope, you're not wrong when you say that,
Young grasshopper.
because when I was reading a short section in the Dallas City Journal over the summer, it just had made an announcement that the SDSU Extension Office will be hosting what do I want to call it, a set of classes or seminar just south of Volga. Okay? So south of Volga, SDSU has an extension plot there where they're testing different types of varieties of crops, which then would include insect infestation. So one of the parts of that seminar was going out into the, I think it was oats, might have been wheat. Take a type of net and go sweeping through there and see the different types of insects you would grab. And some of them would be grasshoppers. So in a narrow scope, you're not wrong when you said that. Although when it said you can take that for recertification. It wasn't for a teaching license, it was recertification for being an agronomist. It didn't really say that, but it wasn't a waste. It was interesting, I thought. It didn't cost anything. Got a free dinner out of it, so.
There you go.
Yeah. You're up there for the day. It was hot, but that's okay. Some time was spent inside. Some time was spent walking around the plots of where they're doing their research. Okay, so let's see here. Feeding habits. All right, so we'll get to the end here. Okay, so again, what might the function of those chelipeds be? There might be twofold. We just wrote it down.
But
Head and
No.
three pick I didn't write it down.
oh,
Walking leg.
Protection.
Protection.
Okay, and I guess it didn't say the other one, not so much for movement, but protection and probably food gathering. Okay, so what those chelipeds would possibly do, okay, is protection and grabbing their prey item. Because notice, what did we say? How is this different than the arachnids? Okay. They don't have venom. They don't have enzymes to break things down. So they actually have to chew their food. Okay? So that would be a difference in the feeding habits of these animals versus those of the arachnids. And then just for the very same reason, okay, they want to crush this food. Just like some of you,
Carson.
when you're grabbing your chicken nuggets, okay, you don't swallow the chicken nugget whole. Why not? Well, two things. One, you get lodged in your throat. Very dangerous. Okay? But why else would you not swallow a chunk of protein like a chicken nugget whole? Right. So for the same reason, these animals need to crush their food before entering their mouth. So the enzyme activity can break those materials down. Okay, so we will start with this tomorrow, and then we'll get to the insects by Wednesday. All right. So we said December 11th is when we will collect those papers. So keep working on them. Vocab quiz on Thursday. We'll catch up to you next time.